The hype surrounding the 2022 NBA Draft is starting to die down after all of the excitement from the main event a few days ago, but that doesn't mean the draft season is over. Now we can shift our focus onto the next crop of talent coming through the ranks, because it's never too early to start scouting NBA prospects, right? Well, maybe it is, but we're going to do it anyway in today's video. Today we'll be making a way too early edition of the 2023 NBA mock draft, and I know it's way too far out to actually start predicting where each of these players will be going, so instead of harping on that, use this as an opportunity to get to know some of the top prospects for next year before next season begins in the fall. For the order that the teams are picking in this video, I randomized the order using tankathon.com, so this does not represent how I predict the league standings to end up next year. Before we dive in though, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel, as all support is very much appreciated. Now with that being said, let's begin. Starting things off with the number 1 pick, the Detroit Pistons select Victor Wembenyama from France. In the 2022 NBA Draft, we had 3 top prospects relatively similar, with neither of the 3 necessarily sticking out above the rest, but in 2023, there is a clear prize, and that prize is Wembenyama. Barring an unprecedented collapse, whoever lands the top pick will be drafting Wembenyama without any hesitation whatsoever, because he has a skill set we've arguably never seen before. At 7 foot 3 inches tall, Wembenyama moves so gracefully out on the floor, he comfortably handles the ball despite being as tall as he is, his jumper is coming along very nicely, and he uses his length around the basket to finish both strongly and efficiently. Defensively, he could also end up being a Defensive Player of the Year candidate because of how well he uses his size and length to block shots and alter opponents around the rim, and quite frankly, all of that oozing potential would be nearly impossible for anyone to pass up on next year. Next up, with the 2nd pick, the Indiana Pacers select Scoot Henderson from G League Ignite. Henderson is a unique talent who was actually able to play with the Ignite program last season as well, so at 18 years old, he already has a season of professional experience under his belt in front of NBA scouts, and he will likely be coming into the NBA more ready for the transition to the big leagues than any teenage prospect in quite some time because of it. Last season, he was playing alongside draft picks such as Dyson Daniels and Jaden Hardy, and yet there were quite a few stretches throughout the G League season where he was outperforming all of them, looking like the best player on the team despite being a year younger. In the G League last year, he showed off his explosive athleticism, reminiscent of Jaden Ivey from this year's draft, while also demonstrating an advanced ability to create his own shot off the dribble and an outstanding passing ability creating for teammates. Wembenyama at the moment is firmly locked in as the number 1 guy in this draft, but if anyone is going to challenge him for that throne, it will be Henderson. Next up, with the 3rd pick, the Oklahoma City Thunder select Nick Smith Jr., who is attending Arkansas this season. Smith is entering an Arkansas team that returns quite a few members from last year's Elite 8 squad, and yet he'll still probably be their best player, hoping to make them a legitimate title contender. Smith is a shot-creating guard with impressive quickness and shiftiness with the ball in his hands, allowing him to get into the paint with ease, where he does a very good job either finishing strong at the rim or dumping it off to his rolling big man for an easy bucket. He's a smart playmaker who knows when to pick his spots, and his change of pace throws off his defender to create space for himself, making him the ideal modern-day point guard that NBA teams look for. Next up, with the 4th pick, the Washington Wizards select Dariq Whitehead, who is attending Duke next season. Whitehead is the latest top prospect to come out of Montverde Academy, who have produced countless top-notch NBA players over the years, and at Duke, he'll be on the big stage all season long to showcase his talents. Whitehead led them to a high school national title this year. He was named Sports Illustrated's Player of the Year, he was the MVP of the McDonald's All-American game, just to name a few of his accolades. He projects to be a versatile wing in the NBA, who plays tough defense and shoots the ball exceptionally from NBA range, giving teams a little bit of everything that they like to see from a wing player. Next, with the 5th pick, the Houston Rockets select Amari Thompson from Overtime Elite League. Thompson is a big combo guard standing at 6'7", and he has all of the physical tools and traits you love to see from a young prospect coming through the ranks. He's a ferocious driver to the basket looking to throw down strong dunks over his defender regardless of who's contesting his shot, but his court vision and passing talent can't be understated either. Opting to play in the Overtime Elite League is a new path going pro. That is still a work in progress too, but it allows them to focus all of their time on developing as players, and he individually started to shoot up rankings after playing in the league last season and shining in it. So just like the G League Ignite program, this league could potentially offer prospects an alternative to college players that allows them to be paid for their play while developing. Next up, with the 6th pick, the Sacramento Kings select Ausar Thompson from the Overtime Elite League 2. That's right, after everything I just said about Amari Thompson, he actually has a twin brother that is equally as talented as he is, possessing many of the same attributes at the top of this class. Thompson is also a big guard like his brother, standing at 6'7", and plays more off the ball, operating as a really impressive slasher, and he too is a tremendous athlete that attacks the basket hard and finishes with a ton of success. Defensively, he also competes really well, and if he can improve his jumper this season, he has the potential to shoot up even further. Next up, with the 7th pick, the Orlando Magic select Cam Whitmore going to Villanova next season. Whitmore is a very strong forward who abuses opposing defenders his age with his overwhelming strength and explosiveness. He can beat you off the dribble and outmuscle you around the basket, so soft contests will result in a ton of end ones or poster dunks if he gets a full head of steam. He's also one of the highest rated defensive prospects at this point in time, so even though his overall offensive game needs some work, he's coming along very nicely. Up next, with the 8th pick, the San Antonio Spurs select Dillon Mitchell going to Texas next year. Mitchell was actually Whitehead's teammate at Montverde, where they together won the high school national title, and Mitchell is also a highly rated prospect expected to turn a lot of heads in college this season. He's an electric and bouncy athlete that moves fluidly up and down the court. He's the kind of player that crashes the glass hard and then can immediately spark a fast break handling the ball, and he also has good vision for a forward as well. He needs to improve his shooting from the outside, but there's still a lot to like in his game. Next up, with the 9th pick, the Portland Trailblazers select Dereck Lively going to Duke next season. Duke's highly touted recruiting class sees another player off the board early on at the moment, as Lively is a big center standing at 7'1". He uses his size and athleticism to dominate the glass and the paint. He's very good as a rim protecting defender. He sets hard screens in the pick and roll to free his ball handler up, while also masterfully rolling to the basket too. He's a center that plays like a center and focuses on dominating the areas where centers need to dominate, which is refreshing because centers nowadays a lot of the time try to be guards too often when they need to master the fundamentals of their own position first. And finally, with the 10th pick, the New York Knicks select Amari Bailey going to UCLA next season. Bailey has a pro game as a combo guard already, and at Sierra Canyon, he's been training to be a pro for years now. He has the kind of play style that we like to call a professional scorer, because from all 3 levels, he has the moves and the handle to create his own offense. He's a very clever finisher around the rim, he's explosive enough to catch you by surprise and throw down a vicious dunk, and you can't overcommit multiple defenders towards him because he's also a pretty good passer with solid vision. He's the ultimate competitor and should be one of the most productive freshmen in the country next year in college. And with that being said, that's all I have for you today. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and comment down below what you think about next year's top prospects. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time.